Welcome, strays and wanderers. I'm your dungeon master, Cameron Holt. I'm joined by the fleeing Arcana crew. Take a deep breath, Arcana crew. Everything's probably going to be fine.
I got my little warm bevy for comfort.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
We continue right where we left off, as you have all piled into a nondescript carriage, pulled by some Atlas moths and a nice little lantern on a pole, and are being pulled away from the castle town into the woods of Timberhaven and headed for Howlheart Keep. As you are pulling away, you all find yourselves together in the same space for the first time in not a long time, but since some events have happened.
Indeed.
Honestly, just a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Skill.
It's been a...
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Busy 30 minutes.
Yeah. Skill finally pulls his cloak off from his head, returns it around his shoulders, and kind of like straightens up. Now, can I ask what exactly is going on here?
Sure.
So many things.
Gilded Fang was the hiking.
You're certain?
Yeah.
Certain, yes. Dead certain. The king is dead.
He's dead.
You killed him.
He kind of like leans over. My lady, I thought, was that not a mere dagger? Was there more at play?
I believe.
Did I nick an artery? What?
But it was a
What
poison
happened?
dagger.
It was poisoned.
Right. But not with my poison.
So, I forget, did Lance actually tell us?
No, he did not tell you.
I'm very much glaring at you, yeah.
I believe her when she says that the dagger was not poisoned with a lethal toxin.
But the Gilded Fang, he was being healed in the tent as I left.
No.
Nope.
It was an imposter.
The paw that I saw was not of the color of the High King.
Perhaps we got it wrong. Perhaps the Gilded Fang wasn't the High King. Perhaps it was
How
a ruse.
did y'all know?
Well, the High King in the royalty box was most certainly not the High King. Whether it was an illusion or a stand-in, I'm not sure. And then really, as soon as you got close to the battlefield, it was pretty evident that that was the High King, where none of you... Right, only I knew that information.
I've personally have never interacted with the High King myself. Father always goes to the Council of Five. He doesn't bring us with him for that. I was set to start joining merely as a shadow in the coming years, but that was to prepare me for when I take his place and join the Council of Five.
So none of you have met the High King in person?
Have I? No.
No. You have.
Yes. Due to circumstances.
Might I ask what those circumstances are, my lady?
Childhood circumstances.
Childhood
Circumstances.
I'm gonna make a quick
Be
intelligence
taken a
check.
couple of ways.
Didn't Bristle
Natural
The-
9's not gonna do
the
it.
high didn't he confirm to you that the one up there was a fake?
I believe he confirmed that the one up there was not the High King, but I don't think he explicitly told me that.
Yeah, you had a whole conversation with Bristlebeard about how the High King had a feeling that whoever was going to take this melee was going to ask to be his successor, and he wanted to basically get a measure of them. And the best way to do that is to cross swords.
You were rolling something at me?
I was rolling an intelligence check for skill
Ah.
based on your childhood circumstances to see if he could garner at all what that means, and he rolled a 9, so he doesn't know.
Nice.
You gave him the dagger.
Sure.
You poisoned the dagger.
Not with that poison, though. I don't think I poisoned it with my poison.
You're the one
Which
that
is
knew that that was the High King.
I did not know it before he was dead.
We in our in
Hugo just pulls her fucking rapier.
Hugin, stand down. In my lady's defense, when she gifted me the implement, it was before we even knew that the Gilded Fang was a competitor in the tournament. He was a last-minute addition who was announced as we were already standing in the field.
How do you know she didn't know before?
I can't
How
say
would I
for
have
certain,
known?
but
You have a lot of secrets, Lady Azalea.
I have an average amount of secrets.
I think it's time that you spilled them.
I can tell you that what we've seen up until we got in here after the events of the tournament suggests that Bristle is taking out anyone who could confirm that that High King is a fake.
Which is now us.
Yeah.
How much does he know that we know?
I'm pretty sure he knows that I know, and I'm pretty sure he knows that you know.
So why did you tell him?
Look, a lot of things have happened, all right? So, did you all share already the fact that...
No.
Bristlebeard is taking out anybody who knows that the High King is dead,
Oh,
including
that's interesting.
the King's guard,
I thought that
Siberian
Siberian.
and Thrashley.
Siberian?
I thought that Siberian and Dame Thrashley were being quite protective of the gilded Fang on the field.
Right.
It feels so obvious now. His royal guards entered. Obviously, his royal guards entered to be.
To protect him from dying.
Yes.
Well, they did a poor job of that.
Continue their role.
Yes.
Well, now they've been assassinated by Bristle, who, when I learned of this, I went to go try to get some Kingsguards to go protect the Queen Mother because she would be the next person under threat.
Lance, you'll learn when we've done wrong and we're trying to cover it up, we pretend not to hear that more wrong could be done by others. We walk away. We take in the information and we walk away swiftly.
You say when we've done wrong, when I haven't done anything wrong.
You agreed to the alliance set before you with me?
I agreed to uncover who was responsible for this, and when it became
Right.
apparent to me who was responsible, I wanted to protect the last member of the royal family who was still alive, to my
Lance.
knowledge.
You were never going to have success in that.
Well, we're
Well, I
all in
know
this shit
that
together
now.
now, aren't we?
The only good thing about this cover-up is it's keeping you alive.
Yes. As far as
Why we
Bristle.
should let the Queen die, unfortunately.
I
Skill,
think she's probably already dead.
yeah, Skill like clenches his jaw at that.
When I suggested that the royal guard go and protect her, Bristle was there, and I didn't know that. He popped out and said, "Oh, I'll send my Black Fang guards instead."
Armadillo!
And
That sounds exactly like him.
and then I angrily take a bite out of a carrot that I had in my pocket. And
It's like mushy and bruised on
All
one
right,
side.
so we all agree at least that we're fucked together, correct?
I don't know if that's necessarily wholly the case. At least myself, I am the heir to House Luporell. If Bristlebeard wants to attempt to take out myself or my brother or our sister, he's going to have a war on his hands. Of course, we are to be wed. You shall be included in that as my wife, the future queen of House Luporell.
And Lance is wanted.
well, we don't know how wanted I am. Am I wanted publicly or am I wanted privately?
Well, I will, just taking a wild guess based on the armadillo's other actions, probably, if you've pissed him off, he's going to make up whatever he wants to about you and have you hunted for sport.
Probably, but I also just won the tournament, and a lot of the common people are gonna have my back.
This is true.
Perhaps.
Murdering the champion of the Grand Tourney is not a good look. Or, well, that's not to say you couldn't make it look like an accident. But, that being said, if you were elevated and became a knight that served House Luporell, you would also be enveloped in that protection.
That's fair.
I told him.
Where does this leave House Caniculus, though? I don't want them to end up at odds with House Luporell
Right.
if a conflict arises from this.
And if we elevate one of their own, a champion even, to a knight of House Luporell, doesn't that form a union of sorts? By the
PR.
way, I may have gotten you betrothed to the princess of House Arctos.
That's interesting news as well.
It's in the works, at least. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, if you could get that locked down real quick, that could be real helpful politically.
Forgive me, Lance. It is just Lance, correct?
Yeah, that's fine.
You misunderstand. You are not of nobility of House Caniculus. You are simply a bannerman.
Yeah.
then I don't see how your actions would be tied back to them in any way unless House Caniculus was planning something to overthrow the High Queen.
House Caniculus isn't planning anything that I'm aware of. Of course, I doubt that they would tell me if they were, but as far as I know, they're not involved in any kind of conspiracy.
I see. It stands to reason, from my point of view. The easiest point of action here, if Bristlebeard's truly attempting to avoid war and keep the Four Kingdoms united, he'll probably quietly get rid of that retinue of guards that chased you.
Yeah.
And leave it at that, I would think, unless you were to raise a paw against him or speak out. So as long as all of us stay quiet, as far as we're aware, certainly I used an edged weapon, and I will accept any punishment that might come from that. However,
What purpose would it serve for them to even reveal that at this point? Because they don't want anyone to think that the king's dead.
Was the Gilded Fang alive?
Now, it is worth noting that somebody was snooping on Lance and I as we discussed this.
I didn't spot them, but there was
what did they hear?
us discussing what happened. The truth. We were discussing truthful matters of how someone was setting us up.
So somewhere out there is a creature who is aware that the High King was murdered in the Grand Tourney, and they escaped with that information, and we don't know who it is.
Maybe.
Right,
Probably.
but the instant they say something, most likely Bristlebeard will have them killed. So that might work itself out.
Indeed. I wish that we could reach a solution to all of this without more bloodshed, but
Well,
I just don't see that in the cards.
as far as we know, anybody who tries to say that the High King has been killed would look like a mad person, since the High King is walking around.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It could potentially prove issues if, and I say if, when there is another meeting of the Council of Five. The kings and noblemen who are within close reach of the High King would most likely be aware of differences, maybe not physical, but certainly otherwise.
If Lady Azalea was able to tell at the tournament without even being in the box with him, I don't think this will stay under wraps for long.
Was the disguise magical or physical? Was it like makeup or is it like an illusion?
Oh, would I...
You're not aware.
If it's an illusion, we could try to surreptitiously dispel it.
The best thing, really, that could happen for us is that they try to keep it under wraps, and we reveal it as concerned parties. Why is Bristlebeard hiding that the king isn't present or anything?
Why reveal it?
There would have been witnesses in the healing tent that his guards took away the king's guard too. They're going to be missing. How are they going to explain that away?
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's going to come out eventually, so why don't we get ourselves on the right side of it?
How many people are they willing to take out to cover the secret up? I guess is the real question, right?
How many would die if the Four Kingdoms were separated and put at war once again?
I'm also concerned at who switched... I don't know whether the poisons were switched out or the knives were switched out.
Well, if it was the knives that were switched out, then
I forget, have you told them about finding the poison on yourself that was changed?
Oh, right. I did have some.
Yeah,
It's
the
been
knife.
gotten rid of.
yes, I gave the knife to Hugin. If it was the knife that was switched, that would imply that someone overheard the conversation in which you gave it to me shortly before the tourney began.
Correct.
Shortly thereafter, they would have had to have planted the false poison on you.
I take out the knife. This is familiar.
Is it mine?
Make a perception check.
13.
It's hard to tell. It was a pretty nondescript knife to begin with. It didn't have a lot of like filigree or anything on it. Very standard stabbing implement, meant to be easily concealed.
Had
This is
I
a pretty
seen that knife before while guarding her?
I would say no. Based on the fact
You
that you had to do
did
an insight check during the training grounds incident to notice that she had the footwork, I would say that you haven't really seen her in a combat situation before, or any situation she would need a dagger.
So you were like completely alone when you poisoned it and all that, right?
Right.
No, this is just me talking.
Yes, between us, the dagger was initially poisoned in the carriage on the way to Oakreach.
Do any of you have access to, like, magics that compel truth?
I do.
I do. You do.
You do.
So, if any of us are still suspicious of any of the others of us, something like that could be made of use.
Is Hugin still holding a rapier to Lady Azalea?
I'll put it down. I think it would be beneficial.
I'm willing to submit to any sort of divination of that sort.
Well,
I don't. I thought I did. Oops.
I'm all spent right now, so.
Well, we
Have
could
to see
all do
tomorrow.
with the rest.
It has been quite a day.
But days like this, every moment counts. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to do to protect ourselves or the realm immediately. Do we want to keep this under wraps for now, or do we want to send covert information to other houses to alert them of what's going on?
I think for now we wait it out.
I think we need to regroup at Howlheart. Once we're safely within our own city, our own kingdom, we can plan from there. It'd be harder for them to get at us in our own castle. That said, be wary of your guard. There's no telling what sort of spiders Bristlebeard has in his employ.
Perhaps we should make all of the guards that are close to you submit to truth screenings magically.
Can't do it tonight.
I understand. I'm just saying, in general, that may be a good idea.
Unfortunately, doing things like that tends to cause more trouble.
Yes, rumors spread amongst guardsmen and servants, and if they...
People don't like to be watched closely.
You may
so
not-
even if they aren't hiding anything now,
Indeed.
they may decide to.
You could offer some sort of a special one-time reward or bonus in exchange for a certain kind of magical screening
Indeed.
to make it
Masking
less suspicious, maybe.
Masking it could be good. Forgive me, Mr. Luporell, but any outward view of those of House Luporell becoming paranoid does not look favorably upon our house due to our unfortunate history.
Sure, I understand.
Hugin's like scrummaging around for like a wine skein or something.
Don't borrow one from Lady Azalea.
Oh boy.
Speaking of, the dagger might be best to hide it once we get back to.
Might be best to just toss it from
Destroy
the
it.
carriage as soon as we're into the wilderness.
If we're along a path back to Howlheart and somebody finds a dagger with any trace of poison left on it,
Take it into a
It's
blacksmith
going
shop
to,
and
but-
smelt it.
that's what I'm thinking. I say we just destroy the whole thing.
Also,
I'll hand it back to Hugin.
that looks suspicious.
Taking it to a blacksmith and having it smelted down. Oh,
Yeah.
I figure probably there are many ways to destroy a dagger that we don't have to involve anybody else in.
We have a royal armory in Howlheart. I'm sure they could be discreet.
So, how long till we get to Howlheart from here?
A couple of days' travel.
Oy.
Howlheart is pretty far south.
Well, we're abandoning the capital to Bristle at this point. We'll just have to assume that he's in charge.
Staying within Timberhaven from Oakreach, you kind of travel south along the winding of the Echo Flow River and takes you down to Howlheart in the southern area.
The roads remain dangerous, regardless of our current situation. So, rest up.
Yeah.
I'm going to sharpen my blunted weapons so that they're useful again.
For sure. Yeah, it takes a lot of work, and that's like the majority of your evening is.
Yeah. This sucks so bad. I wish I could just grab my stuff.
Sword.
Well, I kind of have like a specialty.
I'm going to get some rest. I still feel quite shit.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, so you.
Right.
Yes,
Right?
Well, I was being double teamed by the Gilded Fang and Siberian as Lance was gnawing on grass, and he got in a lucky shot after I freed him.
Well, you freed me. You
was-
you knocked that one guy out.
He holds out a thick paw.
It was well fought.
He
Likewise.
shakes.
Speaking of, Lance,
Tyrion,
what boon
man.
did you ask for?
Well, I guess it doesn't matter now since I'm probably not going to get it. But what I asked for was a monument to the non-noble soldiers, like the commoners who fought in the border skirmishes more recently.
You asked for it publicly, though, right?
Yeah,
It will be done.
maybe. We'll see.
If Lord Bristlebeard wants to keep things under wraps, he will be an armadillo of his words.
Unless he marks me as a criminal or a traitor.
Potentially.
Also,
I'd wager if that's going to happen, it's going to come down the line.
it would be a poor choice of a boon to refuse to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By saying
That's
that, like, no,
just
I
makes
won't
more
do that.
suspicion.
Right.
Indeed.
I wasn't ever able to get my specifics. Maybe I can have those posted publicly so that he can't deny them.
So, are you going to be a knight? Are we knighting you?
I guess that seems like the most reasonable course of action at this point. Without that kind of protection of nobility, I'll be fair game for whatever nonsense they try to pull.
Either you hide or you become a public figure where you can't.
Yeah, that's a
Take you
good
out.
point.
I will make it a point to publicly appoint you when we return to Howlheart Keep.
That'll
Many
be a
witnesses.
it'll be a good showing of sportsmanship as well.
Indeed. I want to apologize to all of you. The enemies were quite vicious, as you all know. I lost myself a bit. I shan't let it happen again.
Whatever we did in the tournament, there was going to be some fuckery happening. So
Indeed.
Does Hugin believe skill?
Make an insight check.
Can I do that too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ooh, that is a 23.
Nice.
I know my prince brother.
Ooh. +0. 19.
Nice.
I definitely believe him that he lost himself during the tournament, but I just assume that he's telling the truth.
Yeah. Hugin and Riss, you both glean, you know skill very well.
Yeah.
You both glean that he is being truthful about having lost himself. And when he says that it shan't happen again, that part feels more like, less like he's promising it and more like he's trying to convince himself.
Yeah. This isn't the first time I've seen him lose himself, so.
Yeah. And I would say on that 19, and with what you've been through together, Prince Riss, every time something like this happens, you see it chip a little bit more away at Skill's peace, at his soul. He's very hard on himself. And
I won't push it anymore then.
Oops, the king is dead. He feels pretty bad about it.
Yeah.
Lipsy doodle.
Might be. So,
Harvey.
are bad, yeah. So, as Lance sharpens up his weapons, do you guys find rest in the carriage? Or I guess let's check in mentally with all the characters and see kind of where everybody's at, as much as you're willing to divulge. We'll start with Lady Azalea.
Yeah, probably she sleeps. It's not that she's like chill with the situation, but like shit happens. Oops.
Yeah.
Made my peace with it. But she is kind of, as she's falling asleep, trying to figure out how she is going to talk around a truth spell. Working that one out.
I see. What about Lance?
Lance has had a real roller coaster of a day. He went into the tournament thinking that it would be fun and maybe he'd get to take out his brother, and then he wins the tournament and is on like a super high, and then finds out that the king died and it was his gang that did it, and now the kingdom's being like secretly overthrown from within by an evil armadillo, and then he is now being framed for a possible murder in the process of all of that. But he might be getting knighted, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I was wondering how he'd feel about that.
But also, like, the kingdoms might plunge into war and a bunch of common people might die in the warfare, so he's real worried about that. So he's got a lot going on. I don't know. I mean, he'll probably sleep because he's exhausted from
Yeah.
fighting and running and getting shot in the leg.
Yeah, I would think that like the shock helps you not think about all of the everything, and allows you to drift off to sleep as you were just kind of pushing it down for now.
Yeah, I'll, like, maybe when I wake up in the morning and my leg hurts more and my brain is spinning, he'll consider all of the ramifications more clearly.
Yeah. What about Prince Riss?
Recovering from thinking that his brother was going to be killed and just slightly trusting him less and less, but, you know, just like, shit, no more trouble.
Yeah. No more trouble. It's going to be, everything's, from here on out, everything's going to be great.
Smooth sailing.
What about Hugin?
Hugin is leaning her head against the carriage while, like, looking out through the window and realizing we're not kids anymore. This used to be a lot easier, and now there are dire consequences to our actions. And our brother, who we will follow to our death, is getting us more and more entangled in a mess. First with the betrothed, now with this. And is not entirely happy with the new additions to this little gang, but she's, you know, 100% loyal to her family. And as she looks out at the trees that are passing by in the night and realizing they never felt very welcoming to her to begin with, but they're the only home she ever knew. Mm-hmm. At this point, they feel even less welcoming, as she can feel a conflict is going to brew. And she's just readying herself for a fight.
Yeah, and as you all eventually drift off and find your sleep, as uncomfortable as it may be, you guys can go ahead and take a long rest, but as you do so, as you are not within the safety of a city, you only heal up to 60% of your maximum. Basically, take whatever your max is, multiply it by 0.6, and that's how many hit points you regain on this long rest. Everything else resets as normal.
That's how many you can heal up to, or that's how many you regain?
That's how many you regain.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it could still get you back up to full.
I'm only down like 12, so.
Nice. Excellent. You all drift off to sleep, uncomfortable as it may be. As you fall asleep, different dreams find each of you. Lady Azalea, you find yourself in a dense green thicket. As you're pushing through, the branches rub up against you uncomfortably, and the sharp needles of these various coniferous trees, you can like feel them dragging across your skin, pressing through the fur and prickling against you. And you're pushing through, and you crest up over this hill and look out over a horizon that bleeds to red. And you see, as there are just motes of flame all around. You find yourself on a hill surrounded by fire, the green trees withering away to ash as it encloses around you. Lance, you find yourself in an arid landscape. The air is dry and hot. You feel yourself starting to pant from the heat, as rabbits don't sweat, as far as I know.
Using my ears to
yeah,
cool
really like
off,
fanning them out. You're stepping between these two large rock formations. Looking behind you, you see a retinue of soldiers keeping up with you. You're being led in the front by a scout. But looking back, you don't see any of their faces. Where their faces should be, there are no discerning features of different types of animals or even eyes, noses, or mouths, just blank, blurred slates. As you follow a smaller creature in the lead, you feel this sense of dread that starts to rise up within you. You hear the skittering of stones falling behind you, and just as your ears pick that up and you turn to look, you hear another skittering from ahead. There is a hail of bolts and arrows that fall down from the sky, more so than any army could ever actually loose, just falling all around you with no end. You find yourself grabbing a shield and holding it up and pelting the arrows off. You see all of the faceless soldiers falling behind you, and one pushes closely and grabs up onto your collar and pulls you close, and you hear muffled speech as if he's trying to tell you something, but you can't make out what it is as he pushes you away, and against your better instincts, you run. Prince Riss, you find yourself in a forest at twilight on a hunt. You've come out with a larger band, but yourself and your brother have split off, tracking down a creature of some great size, but being young and naive and hopeful, you're certain that you and your brother can handle it yourselves. You split off from the hunt and find yourselves pushing through the trees, when eventually you come upon the massive form of the beast, unmoving. A shape emerges from within it as it splits open, and a shadowy humanoid figure steps out. As soon as it steps into the light of twilight, you see this mist that drifts off begin to catch flame, and fire envelops the figure as it rushes forward and grabs your brother by the face and is pushing him down into the dirt. And you are overcome with emotion, and all other thoughts go from your mind as you protect the pack. Ready your sword, and you remove the head from the beast. And as it is severed, the fire stills, and the entire figure falls to ash, which just coats Skjold in a thin layer as he lays there breathing heavily. Hugin, you find yourself standing at the edge of a branch, looking down over twinkling lights in the distance, these massive fireflies that just flutter beneath you, each of them lighting up as it descends, dampening as it lifts itself back up. And around you, even smaller fireflies, almost like just glistening motes of pollen that surround you in the air. There's a heavy gust of wind that's sort of from behind and below. As it blows past you and surrounds you, you feel it fill your wings and kind of like almost lift you. And it begins to carry you off of the branch. As it does, the fireflies left far behind. You pass over a burning grove. Fireflies turn to embers and sparks. And there's this immense heat beneath you that carries you even higher. So high that you start to mingle with dark smoke that fills the air and fills your lungs, and almost find yourself choking. You all come back to consciousness the following day, still within the carriage, which traveled through the night. The guards have been sleeping in shifts and switching off, making brief stops to do so. And you continue on. Could I ask one of you to roll a d20?
3.
3, excellent.
Is it?
Is that how many bandits attack us?
Oh, 3?
We got this.
Easy. I'll be in here.
Oh, dang it. It's like, how long can you go before you actually have to
Whole
fight
series?
something?
About halfway through your second day of travel, you've passed through beautiful woods of massive oaks that mostly form almost like tunnels along the road as you go. And the further south that you go, at this time of year, the trees have started to change from their typical deep green leaves, and now there's just a plethora of red, yellow, and orange patches that sort of illuminate and surround the road. And a number of them have begun falling from the trees and coating the ground around you. It's almost like riding through a painting. As you pull over one day to stop, and a couple of the royal guards head out for a hunt to gather up some food and supplies for the last leg of your journey, can I ask what each of you are up to as you make your stop. It's been several hours on the road for a number of days now. Where do you each find yourselves during this little rest stop?
I'm looking for berries and leaves to replace my stock of poisoner's equipment.
Yeah, make a nature check.
I won't be stopped. 17.
17?
Trying not to make it obvious, I'm gonna just make it look like I'm perusing
Yeah, for
the
sure.
woods.
Also make a sleight of hand check. Oh, actually, no, make a deception check.
14.
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and make your perception checks now. You can make one as well.
Okay.
12.
Nice.
Dirty 20.
30, 20,
23.
23, 13. All right. Lady Azalea, you trail off a bit. Skjol stays nearby with you. Doesn't ask what you're doing
Sure,
specifically.
lady things.
Lady things. Collecting flowers, I presume. You get enough that you will be able to kind of mash them up in your private time and create 2 uses of poisson,
Nice.
fish.
I made fish, everyone.
Don't eat it.
No.
What is Lance up to?
Does anyone have like a paper and quill and ink that I could borrow? No? Okay.
Did we pack anything? I think we just put on our
Yeah.
leathers and our gear.
I know I don't have any on myself, so maybe I'll go actually with the guards to hunt some game.
We are near the edge of the Bleachwood Holt. There might be a few aspen trees. We could rip some bark free that you could scratch into.
I mean, it's not vital. I was just thinking like of writing down just what's been going on in case something happens and we need to get that word to anyone,
I see.
like House Caniculus or something.
Not a bad idea.
But yeah, I guess for now I'll just help scrounge for food. I'll probably look for like veggies as opposed to hunting
Yeah, make a nature check.
beetles or something.
So there are fish.
Fishermen.
There
Are
are,
there-
there
are
are
there-
crustaceans.
Fish people.
Yes.
Oh my god, yes.
That's where season 2 takes place.
Under the sea.
Natural 20.
It's always on like finding lettuce. It's never on like
you-
surviving.
You find a massive patch of wild carrots.
Jackpot. Gathering those up,
Hell yeah.
brush them
Yeah.
off.
You can add 30 carrots to your inventory.
Holy shit.
So are there like Arlong style people that walk along the land?
Yeah, but those are not Arlong style. It's
Okay.
more, there are like amphibious.
Sorry, making One Piece questions.
No worries. I
Always
welcome
do
it.
Welcome.
No, there are like frog people who are amphibious, but
Oh, yeah.
the fish folk stay beneath the waves because they can't breathe air.
Not until technology catches up.
30 carrots.
What is Prince Riss up to?
Cards. We'll play cards.
Sure.
Board.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Cards.
Sure.
Ardor match or wild instinct?
Ardor match.
Excellent. I should have known.
You all begin playing cards. Let's just roll. Everybody roll a d20, and whoever rolls the highest wins.
Excellent.
Skjol got a 14.
Do I have proficiency?
Yes.
Won't help. 6.
17.
Nice. Hugin wins. Cleans up over the princes.
She's not even looking, even.
Just like sleight of hand, throw another card in there.
Yeah, it's actually because I'm cheating.
Pulling arounders.
Hugin, as you are dominating at Ardor Match, you feel like a slight vibration and hear the sounding of bug legs in the distance on the road.
Someone's coming.
On your earlier perception check, you warn everyone. Everybody kind of like gets at the ready.
Can I tell whether it's coming from where we were heading or where we were from?
Yeah, it's coming from the direction you came from. Skjol kind of like shuffles Lance into the carriage and closes the door.
Okay. If you need me.
Yes.
You've got days of carrots in there.
Yeah.
Things pop off, as it were. Feel free to join us.
Okay.
Check and make sure that, I'm like ready for battle, but like still trying to look nonchalant. Like we're just
Yeah, Skill himself pulls up his hood and kind of like turns to the side a bit, but enough so that he's still able to look off in the distance. And rounding the trunks of a few trees and their falling leaves, you see a familiar carriage. It is pulled by a pair of millipedes, not of House Vulpes, however. This is an official carriage of House Luporell. This is King Lupin's carriage. I'm gonna make a quick perception check as well. Okay.
at this point, can Hugh can see if there's anything out of place with this? The guards are guards, and everything looks good, normal.
Yeah, make an insight check.
That's gonna be insight's good. 18.
Yeah, you recognize not out of the ordinary. All of the guards appear to be official House Luporell guards. You recognize a few of them. You also recognize sitting, actually driving the carriage next to the person sitting shotgun is Fang,
Oh, okay.
the Arter priest that joined you. Basically like your traveling healer. Also, just for fun, make a quick history check. Just to see how much you know about Flank.
Oh, Flank. I know you so well. I know you 26.
Damn!
I know you 26 much.
So I'm gonna say specifically Hugin. Let's do, this will be fun. Let's do a brief little flashback. We see a young Hugin, probably in her early teens, maybe late tweens. Already becoming very practiced at sneaking. Not quite as much with the fighting, but definitely good at sneaking about. You've always been a little bit put off by Flank. He's very, very tall for a coyote, like abnormally large for a coyote. He's got scars on his face and just generally has like a very dour looking demeanor, but is a man of the cloth. And he's always been, every time you're like climbing a wall and you fall and scrape your knees and things, he's always the one who heals you up. And he also gives the lessons on the 5 ardors to the children of House Luporell. Hugin, you know that there's more going on here. And I'm gonna say that we find you as you've just kind of like backed up against a wall and are peering in, and Flank has actually just left the space in the back chambers of the Temple of the 5 Ardors in Howlheart Keep. He's just left and locked up behind himself, but you know for a fact that if you get in there, you can figure out what's up with that guy. He's got to have something around.
How do you get those scars?
So what do you do?
I want to get in there.
Hell yeah. What would Hugin use to attempt to pick a lock in this instance?
She probably has like some kind of a letter opener or something that looks like a mini rapier.
Nice.
It's
Hell
good
yeah.
or something.
Yeah, go ahead and make a check with your thieves' tools.
Cool.
If you add proficiency, just make your proficiency +2 for this.
Okay. Oof, that's only gonna be a 9.
A 9? 9 is enough. There's not like a whole lot to be kept secret in this temple. Mostly it's like, don't let the kids get in here and get to the sacramental wine. Which you've done a number of times already. So yeah, you're familiar with this lock as you pick it open. And as you step inside, go ahead and make an investigation check.
Oh God. Well, that's a nat 1, but also a +11.
Oh, nice.
So 12.
Dang, +11.
But that's using my level 6 skills though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, okay, so on a nat 1, you quietly pick the lock and step into the room and like opening drawers, like pulling stuff out, like throwing it on the floor, just like digging through things. And over your shoulder you hear,
And turn around.
you
Very caught.
you see Flank standing in the doorway. Miss Hugin, may I have a word?
I just nod.
He steps in and like slowly closes this creaky door behind him and steps over and then just kind of like kneels down to be on your level. And even kneeling, he's like above you still. May I ask what it is that you're after? I've moved the wine, so you're not going to find it in this room.
Drat. That's what I was after.
Make a deception check with disadvantage. Because you're a child.
So with disadvantage, that's a 14.
He like, in attempt to like get even lower and more on your level, he like crosses his legs and like hunches over, giving a healthy distance between you.
What is it you're really after, Hugin?
What do you mean? I told you I was after the wine.
Yes, well, I know from the last time that I found the sacramental chamber unlocked and open, I had already moved it then, so I know you know it's not here. The Argers favor honesty, Lady Hugin. They will never punish it.
I just wanted to know more about you.
About me? Well, you need only ask, young lady. What is it you want to know?
Just kind of taken aback. She's like, she doesn't believe that. Where'd you come from, Flank?
Well, this isn't widely known, but I actually used to serve your, well, the prince's uncle. I was personal guard to King Ulfgar, the Mad King, as we call him.
Yeah, you can like widely notice those shit. Her eyes get really big.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you got those scars? And then she kind of
He smirks. He smirks. Make an insight check, actually.
that's a 13.
Yeah, you see as he smirks from like the brazenness of the question, and then something else kind of comes behind his eyes as it drifts away a bit.
I got these scars in the Great Hunt. You see, the Mad King was a very dangerous king. He wanted to be the king of all of the Four Kingdoms. But instead of uniting them, as House Theros and the great King Leonidas had done, he opted for a more forceful rule. Now, I was not one to stand up against my liege. I had sworn oaths to protect him. I was a knight once upon a time. But during the Great Hunt, those who fought around the Mad King, it changed us. You see, in this world, there are those known as beast weavers, those who harness the powers of the five orders, rather, of one of the five orders. But one time in every 1,000 pups born, there is a special, unique pup who can access a multitude of gem souls. More than one. The Mad King was this way. And the pair that he had, well, you see, one made him very, very hungry. The other made him very persuasive. He could make others think the way that he wanted them to. He could take an idea that was in his head and make it feel like it was theirs. Normally, both of these abilities are useful to one in power or one who must see fighting. Unfortunately, there is a drawback to using them too much. The Arders do not like to allow those who they look over to get too close to their power. It's dangerous. And the connection of those two things made the Mad King particularly dangerous. Do you know why they call him the Mad King? Well, it's because his mind was poisoned. The ruby gem soul that he wore in his chest was at odds with the onyx gem soul he wore on his back.
You mean for Paisha and Famon?
Precisely. You see, his overuse of Paisha's blessing led him to be confused, reckless. It led him to make decisions he would not have made otherwise. His overuse of Famon's blessing made him hungry for power, hungry for food. But there was a strange interaction between the two. The hungrier that the Mad King got, the hungrier he could make those around him feel. Well, most stories of war are not reserved for those at such a young age, but let me say this. The scars that are imparted upon me, that I carry now on my hide to my death, are nothing compared to the other scars that were inflicted during the Great Hunt. The ones that you can't see. Now, that's enough. Run along and stop looking for that wine.
He opens the door and kind of like shuffles you out. And probably I would say, actually, I'm going to ask you on that day, how, if any way, how did Hugin kind of form an opinion of Flank?
He's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, I don't think that Hugin knew about, the multiple gemstone thing, and that's like blowing her mind. Because at first she was like, "That's badass," then she's like, "That's not good."
Yeah. And then, yeah, probably like a child's mind, the instant next thought is like, well, which ones would work the best together?
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna go tell the princes about this so that we
Yeah.
could play our gem soul game that we like to play.
Hell yeah, absolutely. And in the coming years, you also came to know that after the Great Hunt was when Flank stepped down. He basically stepped away from his title as a knight, and not only did he give up the knightly title, but he also gave up his name that he had been gifted. You're not sure what it was, but he used to be Flank something of House Luporell, and now he is simply Flank, a man of the cloth. He after the Great War, he was done with it, and dedicates himself to the Ardors and education about the Ardors, basically.
I think outside of any of the lessons about the Ardors, Hugin is probably like kind of always pushing him for either details about the Great War or being a knight and stuff, and like trying to get him to like show some more of that like old side of him.
Yeah, for sure. He is outwardly very stoic, but is a very kind coyote. And we are pulled back again into the present as you see the king's carriage approaching. And Flank pulls on the reins, instantly recognizing Hugin and Prince Riss. Skill lowers his hood as he sees it arrive as well. There's like a brief pause as you see a little slot opens, kind of down to the back side area of where the drivers are. Flank kind of leans down and nods before hopping off and opening the door. Stepping out from inside the carriage.
Straighten up.
The massive form of King Lupin Ironfang of House Luporell, King of Timberhaven.
My children, my lady,
Your Highness.
you made quite a quick exit. Might I ask why you didn't have time to inform your father what it is you're doing here on the road?
Skill steps forward.
Your Highness, if I may, there are matters certainly worth discussing, but here and now perhaps isn't this.
He kind of like looks around. Like the buzzing of distant cicadas echoing through the trees. Just you and his royal personal guard. Hasn't really even been anybody else passing by on the road at this point. He kind of like looks around.
Forgive me, but I must disagree, my lady. I think there is no better time or place for an explanation.
Peeking out the window.
Your Highness, you never
Make
know.
a stealth check.
Oh no. You truly never know.
We're like kids that have been caught. We're like shooting each other glances.
Some of the things that you might find out when we discuss matters may be more alarming than you anticipated.
16.
16. Nice. He rolled a 15.
I must say, Lady Azalea, that does not give me any comfort
It
to
was
hear.
not intended to, Your Highness.
I see.
simply to explain ourselves and to inform you as to why we would maybe prefer to speak in a much more private space.
Make a persuasion check.
21.
The king straightens up, and there's this interesting sense, like, especially his children are aware, like, people don't talk to the king like that. But he's like,
All right. We'll have a conversation when we arrive back at the keep.
Wonderful.
I shall escort your carriage with my own strength in numbers. The pack's got to stay together. Something I'm sure you'll learn soon, Lady Azalea.
and King Lupin places a hand on Prince Riss and Prince Skill's shoulders at the same time, kind of like looking, one of the few who can look down at his sons, and is just kind of like,
Both of you fought well. That was no easy fight. And Skill, we will have words about your actions as well.
and Skill kind of, his tail tucks between his legs.
One more note, Father.
What is it?
Have you met Lance, the winner of the tournament?
I've not.
Does he come out?
Does he look like he knows?
Make an insight check.
That is a natural one.
He slowly
Gonna
turns.
fall on the ground and
He
die.
slowly turns to the carriage as you say this, and he's like,
I have not had the pleasure.
Are you in the carriage?
Yeah, you just outed him, my dude.
He's coming back to our place.
yeah, that's
We
true.
were gonna talk about it.
Yeah, I think mostly Skill was like, hide in the carriage in case this is Bristlebeard's man.
Yeah.
You see two ears slowly emerge from the door. And then the head.
That was well fought, sir. I do actually recognize you. You are personal guard to Her Lady Azalea.
Yes. Well, I mean, that contract concluded, but we have potentially additional.
Arrangements.
Yes.
I seek to give him knighthood, Father.
There we go.
Daddy, knight him.
Daddy, please. Can we keep him?
King Lupin kind of like nods, and he's like,
I see. As is your right. Well, again, congratulations on your victory. And I find your boon most honorable. Most would have asked for a noble title or even to become the heir of the High King. But seeking to honor your pack, I appreciated it.
Your words are kind. Thank you.
Indeed. Well, Rover guide our journey.
and King Lupin climbs back into his carriage. And at about this time, the guards are returning faster from the tree line, like breathing heavily as they see what's going on. And each of them have a couple of grubs over their shoulder, thick-ass grubs.
Yeah.
Grubs with several B's in the name.
Yeah, grub with 2 B's.
Tag.
Tag?
Thick ass grub.
Thick-ass grubs. Wet-ass grubs. They approach and
Just slopping.
Oh, God.
and yeah, they split the grubs in half and give a half to everybody for you to indulge upon as you are making your way back into the carriage and continue down the road.
I want to see, like, as King is going into the carriage, if I can catch Flank's eye and just be like, is anybody else aware of our speedy retreat back to Howlheart?
The king noted it. Lord Asher is also within our carriage. He was surprised, to say the least, that his lady daughter had eloped with Prince Skill. At least that is what we had hoped. But as far as I know, everyone is looking forward to the wedding.
Excellent. Thank you, Flank.
Of course. Are you well?
Yes.
Good.
Quite well.
And the princess?
Yes. A little bit rough at the loss, but still. We are quite fond, actually, of the champion. So.
I see.
Make a deception check, not because you are lying, but because...
We actually hate Lance. He's in a place we gotta throw somebody out the back.
No, this is to see if he picks up on the truths that you are not telling.
That's a 19.
19, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Flank would probably know me really well, though.
Yeah. Natural 4.
Sick.
He nods and believes you and climbs back up to drive his carriage. As you hop back into your carriage, which is a lot harder to stop during the day, but thanks to the the tree cover.
Well, they have little like horse blinders
Oh,
that they
yeah,
go over
yeah.
the whole like.
Oh yeah, they have like a it's actually they collect the hairs.
fly mask?
They collect the hairs from horse donors, and they weave the hairs into these little masks that they put over the moth's eyes. That's basically like functional sunglasses. So it's darker for them, but they can still see the light of the lantern.
Oh, that's very clever.
And yeah, you climb back into your carriage, and now that we have the mechanics of how bug carriages work down,
Yay. We did it, guys.
we got there.
That's what this story was all about.
We solved the problem.
Your carriages continue off on the last leg of your journey. We transition now to arrival at Howlheart Keep, a magnificent black stone castle, surrounded by a village of stone buildings as well. Mostly actually in Timberhaven, there's that classic sort of classic fantasy, I guess, for us, but true to the name of the area, the plaster and timber framed buildings of Howlheart, the city of the Luporell, of House Luporell, I should say, and many others as well. There are bustling marketplaces that you ride past. The locals are out in the streets as word has reached them that the royal family is returning to Howlheart Keep. There are applause and cheers as the royal carriage rides by.
Can't hide in the carriage forever.
It's true, but I can hide my face and myself in the makeshift shawl that I stole.
Too ratty for this, actually.
And pulls off his own cloak and is going to hand it over to you. It
Thanks.
is in the red and gold of House Luporell.
Ears back, hood down.
We shall make a formal announcement of your knighthood as soon as we can, and we'll hold out the ceremony tomorrow.
Cool.
Excellent.
These folks probably haven't even heard about the tournament results yet, since
Certainly not. We left before it was even fully done.
And
Normal. Maybe we should have just told them we eloped. Would have been way easier.
Kind of what I thought we were going to go with, but
I kind of don't want to tell them.
I don't think that's a great idea.
yeah,
I'm not telling them?
Not telling your father would.
It didn't seem like he was aware that anything had gone down.
Also, my father kind of dumped the poison, so he's aware that something is going on.
But if there's anyone that you want to keep satiated in this particular situation, it's our father.
King Lupin does not take well to surprises.
I will be honest, I would prefer if we didn't tell him the whole story, maybe.
We don't
I
have
guess
to
there's
tell
no
him
way
that
around
it
it,
was-
is there?
Just
We could.
tell them who we think was.
We could tell him that we
Good
think
night.
it was the armadillo.
So we need to get our story straight then.
Right.
this is like during the ride through the city
Yeah.
before you've reached the castle.
I think, what if we just tell him that we came upon information that the king had been killed somehow,
He's going to
And
want
we
to know
think-
the source.
that perhaps the armadillo is attempting to hide it.
Perhaps, Lady Azalea,
Sure.
how did you know the High King? You've been very vague
How
about
did I
it.
know the High King?
I'm not asking you to come up with a lie, I'm asking you for the truth.
You want the truth?
Yes,
I see how unusual.
I can see your wheels turning.
Yeah, zone, cast zone of truth.
Oh, nice. As you cast Zone of Truth,
know
everybody
if
needs
I
to make
resist it,
a
don't
wisdom save, correct?
It's a charisma saving throw.
I guess I'll.
Hugan just shudders and she's like, I hate when he does that.
Yeah. Skill,
Like,
skill knows
something
enough at
you've
this.
done.
Yeah, skill
Yeah.
knows enough at this point to willingly fail.
Yeah, and I do the same.
I will choose not to save.
Charisma.
Yeah. That Riz.
Roll for Riz.
I'll willingly fail a stupid save.
Okay.
You can try. Come on.
I mean,
14, 15, 16,
Oh, yeah, you're actually going to save, aren't you?
20.
Yeah, okay, you
Damn it.
save. You save.
unless you would
I,
willingly
yeah,
fail.
I
Okay, you
willingly
will.
That's
not,
just-
but you
okay.
said try it.
Yeah, that's
which
just,
I
that's
did.
just a power move to let you know she could have saved.
I squint at you and then I.
Yeah, what does it feel like as the zone of truth washes over the carriage?
Oh, man.
And the driver out front is like, oh, I hate my job.
He's just like constantly getting berated by like the wings of the moths as they're flying.
Their scales are
Just
like always
buffing
in
it
his face.
everywhere.
A chill kind of takes over you before, like, your head gets a little light and fuzzy, almost like you've been drinking, but not.
Nice, nice.
Vino Veritas.
If I may ask, my lady, how did you know the High King, Gavric Goldentail?
Gavric and I grew up in the same place.
From the same town.
Yes.
So wait, you are aware of his past before he was adopted by the High Queen.
Yes.
That's fascinating. I don't think anyone has that knowledge. At least I didn't think anyone had that knowledge.
Well, it was a small town.
What town was that?
It's a small border village on the edge of Timberhaven. Thistlebrook is the name of the town.
Y'all were friends?
Friends is ambitious, I would say. Acquaintances.
Are you a similar age?
Similar. I don't believe we're the same age.
What was his family like?
He was adopted.
Oh, right. Sorry, I presumed you
He
knew him.
didn't have one. That's sick and cruel.
I presumed you knew him before he was orphaned.
No, I knew him as he was an orphan.
Oh.
Oh, that's a natural 18. On a natural 18, he's going to make an assumption.
My lady, did you know High King Gavric Goldentail from his orphanage?
Well, he was, as an orphan, living in an orphanage, yes.
And that's where you met him?
I met him in Thistlebrook.
At the orphanage?
Sure, he lived there, yes.
Hugin's trying to think, does she know if Lord Asher ever lived in Timberhaven?
Make a history check.
Oh.
Was Timberhaven the name of the town?
Right.
Timberhaven is the kingdom that you're in.
Oh, was it Thistlebrook? Was that the name of
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
town? Okay, I was like, that was what I wrote, and I couldn't
Yeah,
remember.
the thread that Hugin is on is the fact that Lady Azalea is from Vale Hollow.
And also the rumor that I had heard was that she's the bastard daughter
Mm-hmm.
of his. That's a 12 for history. No, 13.
You are not sure about Lord Asher's history. You're not sure about much of. You know that like Vale Hollow is a close ally to Timberhaven, but you're not sure about the inner workings of their politics, other than the fact that it's mostly a matriarchy.
Interesting. Sorry, I feel like we're getting off topic here. So, that was how you recognized. You knew the High King as a child.
Correct.
All right.
What was your family doing in Timberhaven?
My family in Timberhaven. Business, I'm sure.
It's interesting because that's not that might not be a lie. I guess. I don't know.
I was also a child. Was I unclear about that?
No, I think we all.
Oh,
understood
sure, yes. I don't know the business of adults.
that. Yeah, you were just a child visiting with orphans.
Didn't know if
Right.
you were living there.
You just play with other children.
Yes.
Do you all not play with other children?
Not anymore, but I did.
Right.
Mostly we played with each other.
Oh, right. I didn't have any siblings.
We used to play Beast Weaver. It was a good time.
What fun. Yeah.
That sounds fun.
I had so many siblings.
Just started speaking.
Are you all right?
Lance just goes
Sorry.
to a dark place.
So many. Dozens.
Lance, you're crying.
Sorry, I got completely
Does
off
it have
track.
something to do with that giant capybara with the tight ass?
I mean, he's He's one of so many.
Always back to the ass.
I swear he had abs on the backside.
Everybody in that tournament had abs on the backside.
Yes, well.
New trend or something.
Oh, yes. He turns around. He's wearing armor.
You can't see them, but they're there.
Believe you.
My abs are my business.
Sure. Mine as well.
You don't get to be shaped like a triangle like this without having back abs.
The back abs hold the triangle.
Sorry, that's where I
triangle
was
ball.
being led. We could perhaps tell Father, and I know this might not be the most honorable course of action, but I think for all of our sakes it might be the best course of action. Perhaps we tell him that Bristlebeard was planning to kill the High King. You recognized that the High King in the box was not the one there. I merely
I'm gonna
knocked
drop
out.
Zone of Truth just so this conversation's easier now.
Yeah. I merely knocked out the High King, the gilded Fang, and then Bristlebeard slit his throat just like he did Siberian and Dame Thrashme. He killed them all when they were unconscious already.
I mean, why don't you just say the things that you were aware of at the time that events occurred?
That's true. It's harder now that I have all the information.
We could have just
I'm not a
lied
great
to you
liar.
the whole way.
This is kind of the hardest I've ever
Does
thought
he
about
expect
why.
you to speak?
I think he's going to want an explanation, yes.
Too bad.
He said
we
we would.
kind of built up.
He said
Can
we would
he
have words.
also do what you can do? Can he make people tell the truth?
Can
Does
we?
he have anybody who can?
Like thinking back to Flank.
was
I don't know if he can
my-
do that.
Well, I think
Mother was the more religious one.
that's true. He could. I don't exactly know everything that Flank is capable of, but he is our spiritual leader of the Orders in Howlheart. He might have some access to something.
What's the downside of just telling him what we know?
I acted dishonorably, and
Would it not serve your honor to just admit to that?
yes, good.
Well, here's the thing.
Shit.
Well, I suppose I could tell you to use it in the event that somebody else acted dishonorably.
That's
I-
true.
That's why you had it.
Yes, it was less that and more. I kind of lost control and
Right, yeah, you probably.
I got angry and
I can see why you don't want to mention that.
yes, I lashed out.
Sure.
Father is not going to like it.
Probably better that you did what you did as opposed to maybe chomping out the throat of the person that ended up being the High King.
That's
That
true.
could have been
That would have been harder to cover up.
worse in several ways.
Yes, I probably would have found my own future among the priests of the Orders. I still have a feeling that could be where I'm headed.
We could just tell him
I-
that we did elope.
We could just tell him what happened afterwards. Siberian, Dame Thrashley.
Oh, that's true. We don't have to talk about the tournament at all.
Well,
That's
not
true.
tell him that the High King's dead.
He's going to.
We could just tell him that we saw some things that were unexpected, and Lance acted maybe a little too quickly on those things, and something is amiss, and we felt it would be safest to just get as far away as possible.
As
I'm
if
going
we
to
tell
leave.
him-
I'm going to leave out the part about the poison.
Right. Yes.
I will
that's
admit
what
to
we're
the
saying.
dagger.
No.
Look,
No, I have to.
well,
Why?
look, we're not going to be the ones making decisions if things come to blows after all this. And if you're not providing him all of the details, you're tying his hands.
Well,
Yes, I don't mean. I don't mean I'll
that's
tell him about the poison dagger. I'll tell him about having a sharpened blade.
Right. The dagger
He's-
wasn't supposed to be that way. To be fair.
True.
on the Council of Five, is that what it's called?
Yes, to the High King.
It's the High King. Do we want him knowing?
It could put him in danger,
Yeah.
but it could also keep him safe.
Yeah.
Father is strong.
Tell him.
I think he should know.
Hugin is just like, she's kind of been trained to tell the king everything. She's in his eyes.
Yeah, your whole thing in this entire tourney was like, watch the kids and make sure they're being good.
So it's kind of just like a, ooh.
At this point, the cart comes to a stop. The doors are opened by the drivers, the guards, and they escort the lot of you out of the carriage, and you find yourselves standing before the massive wooden doors of the castle of Howlheart, within Howlheart Keep. Black stone walls surround the area, and there are a number of spires and a couple of flying buttresses that come off to towers from the castle itself. It's a marvel of engineering and beauty. And you are led inside by the guards, followed shortly thereafter by King Lupin, who follows all of you inside and leads you into the throne room.
What was in the throne room?
Hey.
So if we can't sweat, are they like panting? 'Cause they're,
They
like,
sweat from their
nervous?
paws.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And birds don't have to.
Smear it on
Yeah.
other places.
Hugin's mouth is open. Like when a crow gets hot.
Try to not be so conspicuous.
Yeah, for sure. You all step inside. The doors to the throne room are closed behind you as King Lupin calls out,
Leave us and fetch us lunch.
Is Lord Asher here?
Yes, Lord Asher also exited from the royal carriage, and he's going to sidle up to you, Lady Azalea. My lady,
How did
you
that-
took off rather quickly.
And?
I'm surprised to have found you here.
Oh.
I thought you would have given word that you were leaving.
I did try to find you, and the guards kind of said,
Yes, a guard did find me, and he told me that you wanted to meet out front of the Castletown stables, but by the time I arrived,
oh,
there was no one present.
oops. He did look slow.
Yes, quite wide, that one.
He asked me how to get stronger, and I told him, follow Mr. What was his Siberian's workout program, but he didn't seem that. He just seemed upset that he wasn't born with back abs.
Does he have
Nobody's
a-
born with back abs.
Does he have a program?
I've heard so.
Oh,
I don't think they're marketing it.
I see.
But nobody wakes up in the morning with back abs.
Fascinating. At this point, the doors
Anyway,
have closed.
I had sent for you. I didn't just take off. It just
Understandable.
Things didn't work out.
I wish you had left a message instead of just meet me here and then not being there.
I forgot.
I was worried.
I kind of forgot. That is the thing. The thing is, my friends got there and I forgot.
That's all right. Quite all right. Well, regardless. And a table is brought out, a very long table with a number of gilded chairs with red velvet seats, and a small feast of roasted bugs and smashed potatoes is brought out for all of you.
I do like potatoes.
Potatoes fucking rule. That's just me. I just love potatoes.
Just potatoes.
I haven't been eating enough potatoes.
I'm sorry.
That's not your fault.
They're an excellent source of potassium.
You said, I want to get super fit. I said, great.
Bananas, not as
On
much
it.
potassium as people think.
Yeah, potatoes.
Potatoes have more, right?
Yeah, and bananas are mildly radioactive.
And vitamin C.
Ooh, that's all good.
What?
Good to
Bananas?
know.
Potatoes.
Love it.
Potatoes. Oh, I'm sorry. We were thinking about potatoes.
I'm gonna be just
Thinking about them too.
kind of like playing with my food.
Yeah.
Just slightly pushing it around, not really eating, kind of looking
Your
down.
Highness,
King Lupin's looking over.
how are things with House Arctos?
Things are well. I've been in talks with. I guess now's as good a time as ever to make this announcement. I've been in talks with King Ulrich Ironhide of House Arctos about a potential betrothal between Prince Rhys and his daughter, the Princess Brilla.
Congratulations.
Do you find this pleasing? I noticed you gave her your favor at the tournament during the joust.
I find it very pleasing, Father.
Good.
Big wife.
Does Hugo know if that was like you just saying that to appease father or your king, or like is that
Oh,
you're,
make
like,
an insight
legitimate,
check, and you can do persuasion or deception, Prince Rhys. Prince Rhys is going to set the DC.
that's an 18 from Hugo.
That's a 22.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm
What-
charismatic.
Oh, that's the thing? I wasn't sure. At this point, I assumed everything you had was a +0.
My notes literally have written himbo in it. When he showed me, it's just all strength and charisma, like
Yeah.
nothing else.
Nice.
Prince Rhys, I'm going to say that you can let Hugo know what she gleans from.
You can tell he's like kind of intimidated by the idea of marriage, but like is into her as much as like anyone else. So,
That's fair.
oh yeah,
So, yes, things are moving along in that front, and we'll be in talks with House Arctos moving forward. But, in the meantime, we have another betrothal that I'd like to get underway as soon as possible.
Sure, of course.
On the road, Lady Azalea, you spoke rather cryptically about some events. Do you mind?
Right. Unfortunately, our dear Lance encountered some information, and in attempting to write that information, it seems that the High King's Throne Warden took some issue with how he approached that, and we felt that it was just safest to get back home as quickly as possible.
Safest? Did you feel that you were in danger?
We
Lance?
felt that at the very least Lance was.
I see.
I was in danger.
From the Throne Warden, Lord Bristlebeard.
Yes.
Hugin saw something.
I believe Your Highness was right in suspecting that something was odd, that the king would hold this tournament and offer up a boon. And when we were in the healing tent, Urs and I, Siberian and Dame Thrashley had entered the tent and then were quickly escorted out by members of the Black Fang, the Throne Warden's guards. Seeing that it was odd that they hadn't been treated yet, I followed, and my liege, they slit their throats
The Black Fang did.
and dumped the bodies, yes.
You're certain?
He leans forward in quiet contemplation as silence kind of falls over the room.
Does Asher look surprised by this?
Yeah,
Okay.
he is like taken aback. You can make an insight check
Yeah.
to see the vibes.
20.
Yeah, again, you're pretty familiar with Lord Asher, and when he is a very good actor.
Yeah, I love that this is one of those guys that everybody's like, he's so fucking mysterious. And then every time I'm in a room with him, I'm just like, I read you like a fucking book.
And yeah, he's a very good actor, but you see genuine shock on his face that that's a thing that happened. On exactly a 20, you see like shock, and then you see he kind of like narrows his eyes a bit, and you can see that Lord Asher is very intelligent. He didn't get the name Whitfoot for no reason. The pieces are beginning to fall into place in his brain of all the things that you guys have kind of discussed and like the potential workings of Lord Bristlebeard and his plans and things. You can see all of that starting to fall into place in Lord Asher's mind as he's considering and potentially even coming up with like a plan and a backup plan and a second backup plan in this moment. But he remains quiet and is just kind of like, oh, shocking.
And there is something else that I believe Skill wanted to inform you of.
Yes, I did have a question for you, Skill. Upon the inspection of the Gilded Fang, who, I'm not sure if you're aware, he passed away.
And Skill kind of like hangs his head a little bit.
Yes, dagger wound to the throat. Cut an important artery.
Did Skill stab him in the throat?
Make a history check with advantage.
19.
19? Yes. You recall,
Shit, really?
because he like reached up and he pushed. He like pushed and slit, and then tucked the dagger into the hilt of his greatsword.
Now, luckily for us, they unmasked this mysterious late-game entrance, and it was a mere commoner, Brown Bear from Riddle Hill Run, who had entered to make a name for himself. Quite skilled, but that much was clear. What do you have to say for yourself?
Ears back.
Yeah, ears are back. He kind of like looks to all of you.
Well, Father,
Your Highness, you truly, the person to blame here is me. I had heard of some foul play occurring in the tournament, and I
You go too far, Lady Azalea. It was my actions that put us in this position. Father.
Puppy eyes.
Yeah. Make a quick persuasion check.
Hughie just kind of like stunned by this, like the way that she's like manipulating King Lupin is like nothing she's ever seen. She's like, God, she would have been so helpful as kids.
I'm here now, darling. 16.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that 16 basically gives you is you giving the help action to skill, so he'll have advantage on any check he needs to make in this particular moment.
Lance is very uncomfortable that all the details are not being shared, but he's doing his best to keep it together.
Yeah, for sure.
Or slowly saying things.
Father, the hippopotamus, Brass Bandalar of Doombarrow. Our little group here witnessed during Prince Riss's joust. He was using the forbidden magics. He was not playing fair in the joust. We thought perhaps that there's a chance he might pull something similar during the grand melee. So I took it upon myself to arm myself with a backup plan in case that were the case, so that I could protect the pack. But I got caught up in the heat of battle. You saw that Fang was formidable, as were the Royal Guardsmen. Seemed as though they had some sort of team up or something that they'd planned ahead of time. I don't know. I had one on either side. I was doing my best.
I am looking imploringly at the king, at what
Yeah.
Skill is saying right there.
Yeah, for sure. You see he's like stone-faced at the moment, listening, and eyes like kind of occasionally glancing among all of you as you're
guys.
I'm
as you're
focusing
mentioned.
on the potatoes that I'm eating so that my discomfort is not made even more clear.
Yeah, I like to think that your ears are like drooping forward to like just above the plate.
I wasn't thinking. I was just trying to defend myself and my kin, and I made a mistake.
And once again, ears down and like head down as well. King Lupin looks over all of you.
Is this the truth?
I make no indications.
He
I
sees
say nothing.
he sees Lady Azalea and Prince Riss kind of nodding.
Hugin, is this true, what they say?
There were no falsehoods in what they said.
All right. I'm going to ask, with the successful persuasion check earlier, to give the help action. Do you want to give skill advantage? Or do you want to give Hugin advantage on a persuasion check?
Hugin.
Okay. Go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage.
That's going to be a 21.
His shoulders kind of drop.
What you did was far from honorable, Prince Skill. However, we shall do what we always do. We move forward in unity.
And Skill has a light shiver at the house words being used at him like that, but also kind of straightens up.
There's more, Father. We have reason to believe that the High King that was within the royalty box was not the true High King. We think he may have been replaced.
King Lupin kind of like turns at this.
On what grounds?
His appearance was different.
You're familiar with the High King's appearance?
Enough. I lived in the same town that he was in an orphanage in. That sentence was bad, but I assure you that's what I'm trying to say.
What Lady Azalea is trying to tell you, my liege, is that myself and her mother spent some time in Thistlebrook. And while there, we thought it would be good for Lady Azalea to get a bit of exposure to other children. So we sent her out to play with some of the locals. And never were there more children than at the orphanage. I assume this is what you're talking about, right, Lady Azalea?
Yes, why are you
Insight
being...
check.
Make an insight check, yeah.
I would also like to make an insight check.
Go for it.
16.
Nice.
20, 30.
And let's make an insight check for King Lupin.
You know what? Why not? I was like, there's no point in me rolling. Yep. Cool. 5.
Wow.
Oh, actually, no, it's 7.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
I thought it was -2. It's 0. Okay.
It's 0. It's hard to tell if Lord Asher is just trying to back up Lady Azalea. You're not sure if he's like trying to cover for her and is like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you're my daughter, so we're on the same side. Or if he's like, we're not supposed to talk about this. That kind of situation. King Lupin kind of nods.
There is set to be a meeting of the Council of Five in the coming weeks. I shall keep my eyes and ears peeled. You can change appearance, but it is not easy to change one's scent.
And as he's saying this, the doors open to the chamber, and a a familiar pug enters.
Oh my god.
As
Was
where
it
is he?
Borgle or
Borgle? Yes.
There's what was it? Bargus and Borgle?
Boggle.
Boggle.
Borgle and Boggle.
Borgle and Boggle. Yeah. This is Borgle. Borgle serves House Luporell. Boggle does not.
Right.
Borgle comes rushing in, and very small steps, but quickly across the floor, and comes over and bows to the king. Apologies, my liege. There is a message for you. And holds open a scroll, which the king takes and looks over. Make perception checks. This is not a super high DC.
25.
10.
20.
16.
16. Everybody rolled high enough.
Yeah.
Perceive the fuck out of this.
Yeah, you see as King Lupin breaks the seal and unfurls the scroll, you notice that the seal is of black wax,
Bristle.
which you guys can make history checks. You see black wax, and also within the wax, you see that the seal itself, not the wax, but like the depiction, is a just like half of a stylized sun with some eyes. History checks.
15.
17.
17.
8.
8.
18.
18. Nice. All of you except for, I'm going to say Lady Azalea, you clock the color, but you can't, from where you're sitting, see the sigil. The rest of you know this to be the sigil of House Theros. Typically, there would be purple and gold wax sealing it. Black wax is...
Seems bad.
Seems like bad news. King Lupin...
Does Lupin read with, does he read to himself with his mouth moving? Is he one of those guys?
Even if he did, he's a dog, so it would just be like...
Well, yeah. I'm just saying.
Oh, can you? You can read
Yeah, I
lips
can
because
read
you're
lips.
observant.
Even if it is a dog, because I'm also kind of a dog. Except
That's true.
foxes are cats, and we all know that.
Foxes are from the canine family.
Right. But in the revised version
true,
of
yeah.
animals, foxes are cats.
Yeah.
They're cat dogs.
It's true. He doesn't read like to himself
Okay.
with his lips, but he kind of like eyes over it, rolls it back up, and places it down on the table, kind of looking forward for a moment.
The former queen, Juniper Theros, has passed from her illness.
God damn
I'm gonna put a hand on Lance's shoulder as though I'm like pushing him down into his chair.
Apparently, she was found deceased within her bed, succumbed to her illness one day past. If what you're saying is true,
It seems oddly convenient, Your Highness.
Lord Asher leans forward at this point.
if Lord Bristlebeard is behind replacing the king, as you say, it would stand to reason the few who could potentially recognize him without issue, one of those would be the High Queen. Unfortunately, it also would stand to reason that if anything were to happen to the High King, the throne would fall back to the High Queen herself. I know that the High Queen has been ill, at least there have been reports as such. But I will say, King Lupin, she seemed rather sprightly and spry at the opening feast, if you'll recall.
King Lupin kind of nods.
This doesn't smell right.
No, it does not.
He raises a claw, and I don't think I've mentioned this before, but just a fun little detail. King Lupin, his like notable decorum. He wears a gilded gauntlet on his right hand that has like sharpened claws that is known to be used as a weapon in battle, but is also a symbol of his position, as much so as his crown.
Sick.
He raises the gauntlet into the air, and as he does, a number of guards come in, and he leans into one of them.
Alert the Throne Warden. We're going to place inspections at the border. Need to quietly close things down for now. Go, quickly.
And the guard nods and is off to meet with the Throne Warden of House Luporell.
I don't want to jump the gun.
That's not a phrase that would make sense here.
I don't want to put the wolf before the pack, but too many coincidences are piling up. We need to keep the pack together, batten down our hatches. Something is on the horizon. I can feel it. Skjold, what you did was dishonorable, but you did not act in the wrong. I shall make arrangements for the wedding. It shall take place 4 days. House Luporell and selected guests will be in attendance. We need to get things moving. The future, Sir Lance. I leave you in my son's capable paws.
And King Lupin stands. Lord Asher, probably all of the Luporells, bow, as is custom as the king leaves the table. He pulls a grilled leg off of a smaller grasshopper and brings it with him. He like takes a chunk out of it as he leaves the room. Everyone kind of straightens back up. Skjold looks at you, Lance.
We could do it tonight. We can do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right?
Sure.
At first light.
In front of people, though, right?
Yes. We'll do it on the steps of the temple.
Whatever works.
Before the eyes of the Arders, you shall be named a Knight of House Luporell. That could have gone worse.
Could have. Did he leave that scroll?
No, he took that with him.
I wonder if he told us everything that was on that scroll.
I can look into this. I mean, honestly, there might be one waiting for me as well.
But Lord Asher.
Yes. The only other person in the room currently.
There's Borgus.
yeah, Borgel left. Borgel like delivered the message and then scurried away.
A moment, dear father, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, it would appear we have some catching up to do. You all obviously know more than you're letting on. What's that about,
A
Spirit?
moment privately, father.
Oh, you want me to leave?
You're not always invited to do things with my friends. Just
All right.
a moment, and I will fill you in on what you need to know.
Awkwardly drinking some wine as the little family
He
tip.
knows most of what's going on, right?
No.
Yes, I am aware.
All right.
I was with you when you told me that the
Well,
High
then
King...
you can be invited with my friends.
Thank you for the invitation. I think
That's
that was...
all we know.
I think that was incredibly well played. I think you let King Lupin know exactly as much as he should have known. And
Lord
that
Asher,
letter couldn't have come at a better time.
do you...
I mean, you know, God save her, but...
The thing that I asked you to take care of, did you recognize it by any chance? It
I
was
did...
unfamiliar to me.
I saved a sample. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. I've just got a small vial, not even enough for a single dosage, I would presume. You know, not enough to be tied back to me if things went awry. But I plan to look into it on this eve and can find out precisely what it is and potentially where it was from. Or at least where it was harvested.
Would we be able to have anyone examine the Queen Mother's body to see if it was illness or poison that killed her?
Oh, heavens no.
I would be willing to bet that her body's already been replaced with a fake.
Or in the ground.
That's entirely likely.
Burned.
You may not be aware, but I was running for my life from guards that Bristle had sent after when I tried to have protection sent to the High Queen.
Bit of target on your back then. That's unfortunate. Although, if Bristle is as smart as I presume he is, what I know of the armadillo, which is not much, which frustrates me to no end.
By the way, Father, We need to discuss some things that the armadillo had mentioned to me.
We can do that privately.
Also,
She just rolls her eyes.
But if this armadillo is as smart as I think he is, if his aim is what I presume, he was not intending for the High King to be killed in that tournament. At least, not initially. But I think he saw an opportunity and he seized it. From all the conversations that I have had with Lord Bristlebeard, he seems most interested in keeping the four kingdoms united as they are. A noble cause, avoiding war. That being said, if that is his aim, it would benefit him not to come after you, Sir Lance, unless you went blabbing. Is there anyone else who knows about this?
potentially a sneaky sneakerton.
There's somebody who's listening in on a conversation I had with Lance, but I don't recall which part they heard.
Members of the Black Fang would be knowledgeable about what's going on, but I'm sure their loyalty has been bought.
Now, here's
Almost
the
certainly.
other thing, is that now, at this point, the armadillo can't turn around and point fingers at House Luporell since he's chosen to put a fake king in place.
Indeed.
We're just as likely to look at him and ask how we don't know he did it.
Should we be worried that any of the members of the Council of Five would be in danger as the High Queen?
It would be foolish of him to make a move on the Council of Five. Predominantly because the High King's Council, unlike the councils of our four kingdoms, consists of the three kings and the queen of the other four kingdoms, as well as Lord Bristlebeard. The only addition would be the claw of the king, general of the king's armies.
It would make sense for Bristle to want whoever's commanding the armies to be under his thumb.
Assuming they are not already.
He was definitely wanting information. He asked me twice, if not 3 times, to act as a spy for him.
Really? What was the information that he sought?
He wanted information about Lady Azalea.
Interesting.
I did not accept his offer.
Make a persuasion check. That's a natural 1.
19.
Thoroughly
Actually,
persuaded.
20.
Nice. Good rabbit.
Even as he sent people to follow me, which I assumed was going to be my death if they caught me, he said
Certainly.
that it still wasn't too late to work together, assuming he wanted to leverage my champion title to his cause somehow. Once he knew that I knew that he was going after the Queen Mother, I knew that I had to book it.
I see. Well, this puts us in an interesting position. Option 1 is we say nothing, and country is run by Lord Bristlebeard via the shadows, with a figurehead king. Not a terrible option. Not a great option.
I don't like that particular
seems
option.
wisest of us for now to go ahead and start making our alliances. Prove that House Luporell is trying to make right of the past in a more useful way to people. Stop being slapped over things that happened in the past and to instead actually make right on them with the other houses.
Indeed.
I think we start with House Arctos and Caniculus, as we've already started laying the groundwork.
Yes, and you should know, Prince Rhys, the maneuvering that your father and I had to suppose ourselves to in order to begin the arrangements of your betrothal. I don't know if you're aware of this, but King Ulrich Ironhide of House Arctos, his entire family was assassinated by your uncle, the Mad King. He's not particularly fond of House Luporell. So, the fact that he's willing to marry off his niece is something to behold.
You are quite impressive out there, right up until the end.
Right up until that hippo cheated. I think surely you would have taken him out of the saddle if that weren't the case.
So that's House Vulpus, House Caniculus, House Octos. Just
Is there anybody in any houses that you fancy, Hugin?
I don't know that an alliance made with me would do much good.
We should see about perhaps
I'm curious.
getting you a noble title.
Your Highnesses, to what extent are you willing to ruffle, forgive me, Hugin, feathers of the other houses?
It would seem that war is unavoidable.
Oh, I don't think that the action I have in mind just now is an act of war.
No. Forgive me. What I mean to say is...
What?
What I mean to say is, if it's not a war amongst the 4 kingdoms, it's a war with Willowrest, Duneborough,
Sure.
the Lamella Riverlands. If there's going to be fighting, I think we should be fighting for what is right. And whatever it is that Bristlebeard is up to is not right.
I think that while some may look upon your house with some contempt over it, moving Hugin up to ladyship not only makes her a more powerful player in your house, it also makes her a more powerful player with other houses, and could help us forge an alliance with Willownest, should it come down to that, and not fight on 2 fronts.
Yes, I will speak to Father about moving things forward. There's been speak of damehood, but maybe we can go further than that.
Yeah, what's the, like...
The runs.
Well, and how... Is that something that, like, normally you can do without, like, High King consent or whatever? Like, how's that work?
The High King can grant noble titles, for sure. Prince Riss and Prince Skjul could not do so, but King Lupin could.
Okay.
At least within Timberhaven.
Yeah.
He couldn't, like, pick somebody and be like, and now you are nobility of House Vulpus, because it doesn't work that way. But he could name you nobility of House Luporell, as it is the house that he is the king of.
Yeah.
We can set those things in motion. I think our best bet now, it could be 2 bugs with 1 stone.
Let me posit this possibility. Bristle is very smart, as we've established, very cunning.
He's connected, yes.
And when cunning people make their decisions, it's based off of information and what they can predict. So would it not behoove us to be unpredictable if we're going to oppose him?
I find myself wanting to bring his treason to light. Of course,
We could do that.
my accidental treason, we can leave that out.
Or
Importantly, discovering who slipped that poison to me in the first place could help us
Indeed.
uncover that.
Yeah, who's got something to gain other than him?
with
Was it all... It seemed like he didn't have this planned.
Yes, if the conjoining of our houses, Caniculus, Luporell, Vulpus, if we can work together to unseat a tyrant, would there be anything anyone would remember us for other than that?
could we, with the resources that we have our hands on now, that we're back in your stronghold, secret ourselves back into the capital and take out Bristle right under the nose of everybody?
It would not be easy. I myself am not a particularly quiet fighter.
I'm quite silent.
But my lady, you held a sword for the first time yesterday. I would not ask you to step into a battlefield.
Are we
Your
still...
Highness, I don't intend to insult you in any way, shape, or form. You're beautiful, and we love that for you. But
Yeah, he kind of like touches his face.
But I gave you a well-poisoned dagger. Whether or not I knew what kind was on it, I've now admitted to you that I did know it was poisoned somehow, and you still believe that I don't know how to wield a weapon of any kind.
Here is a valid point, Lady
Thank you.
Azalea. So, what do we do from here?
The Council of the Five meets in how many days? 5 days?
Should be 210 day.
2 days.
More than
Still on
likely,
the way.
something is going to come out at that meeting.
I just can't believe that there are enough people that are not familiar enough with the king's appearance that he can just be replaced by an imposter.
How many people does King Luporell see on a daily that aren't
No
members
one's
of
close
his house?
enough. They don't get close enough to,
It's always from a dais or a platform or
Yeah.
a balcony.
The pomp and circumstance is more a hindrance, I would think, than an aid when you are killed or injured and being hidden away. It seems you want people to know what you look like up close.
Fun
Yeah.
fact, throughout history, of real life history, there were times where regimes were overturned so quickly that people didn't even know they had a new king in certain areas, and even fewer people knew what royalty looked like unless their face was on the money.
Yeah, it's
they're
also
like, it's the king.
mostly throughout
I
history.
believe it, yeah.
Kinghood was associated with like chosen by God, so you had to be better than everybody else, and people couldn't know that you were just as awful to look at as they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a fun fact.
Fun fact.
Fun
Hey,
fact.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
That's a rock.
That's what the
That's a
FS
rock
stands for.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. Every time you roll a natural 20, you have to give a fun fact.
Oh, I
that's
have
tough.
a lot of fun facts, but they're not all relevant.
So,
I don't think that Lord Bristlebeard has any plans of letting this ride. He's going to try to instate somebody else.
Well,
Somebody else that he has control over.
yeah, but
I do wonder
the
if that's
king
why
has no heir.
I'm sure
it
they
was so
will soon.
bothersome during the
Exactly.
feast.
Oh yeah, I feel like
Did you think he could gain some manner of control over him?
yeah
Oops.
he I think suspected that if Skjold won the tournament, he would gain the crown, and then he could control him through you by blackmailing you or whatever. But I don't know. He seems like the
Fucking
sort that
armadillo.
had probably a number of plans that he was juggling all at once, just in case.
Oh, you gotta stick to one or two.
Mm.
You get cocky is the problem. You start thinking you can handle multiple plans. One or
So,
two.
knighthood, wedding, 2-10-day,
Right, you'll probably also
father
get married.
goes back up,
Betrothal.
and we ride with him.
You know, as I stated earlier, I'm supposed to be starting to learn the ropes of kinglyhood. If I join Father at his meeting of the Council of Five for the High King, and, we would only need to bring our best knights, as well as my lady wife would be in attendance with me, of course, as we travel everywhere together. And, of course, Hugin, perhaps Lady Hugin, just traveling with the royal family. We could perhaps plant ourselves in Father's retinue, and if we need to launch an attack, we're ready. If we need to defend ourselves, we're ready.
I think
Basically, just dare Bristle to take some action against us at that point.
Yes, we show him that you, now a well-respected knight of House Luporell, are untouchable to him, without severe consequences.
Might be nice to have a conversation with my future wife at some point, too.
I think making visits to the houses that we're hoping to ally with could be to our advantage as well, especially House Caniculus.
I can speak with your king father, and we can I could be the go-between. We could set up a meeting of the houses within the coming 10-day. Once, of course, Prince Skjold and my lady daughter Azalea's wedding is out of the way, we can move on to the next. Also, I can put a good word in for you as well, Hugin. Your father has been very receptive to various ideas and things that I've brought up, so I could perhaps bend his ear a bit to let him know that in these coming harsh times, it could only benefit us to have, and forgive me for saying so, another piece to use in order to gather allies.
Hugin's looking at both of you and he's like, fuck, it's hereditary.
Or is it?
Just be aware that me raising in position in any way might actually be less beneficial politically than hoped.
Indeed. That is potentially the truth. However, it could also be another joining to another house, another group of allies.
Regardless of what some people's opinions of it are, you have shown your loyalty for your entire life to this house. It seems more likely that they would make an enemy of you to not improve your status. And I'll be honest, if I knew somebody for my entire life and they had never made it clear to me that they held me at the same level as themselves, eventually it would make me an enemy.
It is grating over time.
Hugan liked that.
Hugan will remember that. I'll put that in post. Well, as you all kind of go quiet and finishing off what's left of your bug and potato dinner, a very muddy endeavor, we fade away on this episode of War of Fang and Fur. And we'll come back next time and see what happens in the coming months. So we entrust your letter to a Luporellian messenger.
The beefiest, so he doesn't die.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be Borgel.
Fuck, he's gonna die out there.
Lady Basil arrives at Howlheart Keep.
Rise, Sir Lance of House Caniculus. I would have you marry myself and the Lady Azalea tonight.
Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw and you want even more Arcanarama goodness, you can head over to patreon.com/Arcanarama, where the low price of $5 gets you access to a whole host of content, like the Chaos Hours, our post-show talkback, where we chat with each other about the things that happened in the episode and give you a peek behind the Dungeon Master's screen. The Guardians of the Phoenix podcast, where it all began, as well as monthly art drops with character art that you can use in your own games at home. The $5 tier gets you access to all of those goodies, but there's also a $3 tier if you simply want to be noticed by your senpais. So without further ado, huge shout out to all of this month's Patreon supporters. Definitely Not Sam, Scott Shear, Nita Yilva, Eric Firm, Freya Odensdottir, Robin Stone, Tina Holt, and Al. See you in the next one.